Greetings, my fellow freedom loving thinkers. This is L3's News Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangoes of South Florida. And today's date, February 2nd, 2018. Groundhog's Day, to be exact. I'm just wondering what the groundhog did in Pennsylvania. Found his shadow or not. It'll be 6 weeks of winter, 6 weeks of spring, more weeks of spring. Little interesting tale. But, I don't really pay too much attention, but it is entertaining and traditional in some places in the United States. Yeah, so I'm in downtown Fort Lauderdale, the Hegemony district. Here's some construction in the background. And I did some stuff on, haven't done a podcast in a while. Just been working a lot, which is good, but I'm itching to do a show. However, I'll probably do some more this weekend and see where it comes. Of course, I shared some stuff on Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus mainly. I shared one on open secrets in reference to drain the swamp, but the lobby is still being filled. So it's like say one thing and it's the exact opposite. Nothing new at all because they all say, "Oh, downsize government," but they still bring in the lobbyist groups and all these bunch of yahoos to have Congress think for them. Nothing new at all. So, and of course, the military-industrial complex, business as usual. How come you don't drain in MIC? And what really gets me too is I still hear people rant, like Charlie Brown's teacher, about what's going on with one president. But if their hero does it, it's okay. It's exceptional. Please, take your fashion model attributes somewhere else that's contaminating space. Be consistent, not out of your convenience. And I posted one on Ron Paul. Looks like they didn't bar him, but they didn't want him speaking at the Libertarian Party convention. And Judge Napolitano, same thing. And someone posted, "Oh, racist, sexist, bigot, all that." I'm like, where's the merit? With all due respect, I don't need to post a comment on that. The truth of the matter is, it's baseless, boring. Have ammunition to back it up. Don't be a pretentious parrot. So, of course, other movements are trying to get people's attentions, like the movement for the People's Party. There's some controversy in that as well. Allegedly. One thing about it is like everything else, like institutions, organizations, parties, etc., and movements. You always gotta expect infiltrators and provocateurs. That's just part of human nature. You always gotta be vigilant in all ends and ifs and buts. And a good friend of mine, Alejandro Suarez, is involved with the Revolutionary Alliance. It's like I say, a multi-group think tank, and he's going to have some meeting in downtown. So just type in Revolutionary Alliance on Facebook, and they'll give you all the information. If you're in South Florida, that'd be great. Regardless of your differences, if you have things in common, it's okay to stand side by side. And that's him and I knew him for 7 years. He's a good man. He has his principles. But we see things in a different way, but we look at things a lot deeper too. And we do admit, even myself, to let passion supersede logic. It's human. So, but there's no condemnations either. So I'm going to be doing a few things here. A couple of them from NewsBuzz exclusive, which I'm a community member. I'm very proud of it. And I encourage everyone to join, donate, or be a member. That'd be great. Once you get that fee, it doesn't change. So, pay a certain fee, it doesn't change. If it goes up, your stand stays the same. So I'm going to be doing a couple from there. And something's happening in New York with permits. And so, it says here, UN Mediators, the Overt Operatives of the US-NATO Global Hegemony. This is by Chris Melodis, came out today. As it reads, it is widely believed throughout the diplomatic global community that the use of the UN media is often a very effective, sometimes necessary tool in order to resolve a dispute between two parties, usually between two countries. UN describes mediation as a voluntary process conducted confidentially in which a trained neutral person known as a mediator assists parties in working toward a negotiated agreement of a dispute or difference. But are these mediators really neutral? That's a good question. Recently, an article by Mint Press News examined the background of Matthew Nimitz, the current UN mediator for the Macedonian name dispute. We are going to review some of this information, adding a lot more evidence to connect the dots and giving a wider perspective of U.S. overt operations. So it's mainly, CIA getting involved in foreign affairs, which has been going on for a very long time. So we'll continue. The U.S. has been putting enormous pressure for years for Greece and Macedonia, FYROM, to solve their name dispute so that FYROM can join NATO and serve American interests. Given that fact, how is it possible for an important neutral mediator like Matthew Nimitz to be a trustee for the National Committee on American Foreign Policy at the same time? Isn't that a conflict of interest? I believe so. Well, for some strange reason, no one in the diplomatic community seems to be annoyed. But then, Nimitz's involvement in U.S.-NATO operations go much deeper than that, also farther from the Balkans. Nimitz's close ties to the U.S. government and institutions can be seen from the very first steps of his career. He served as a staff assistant to President Lyndon Johnson as a counselor of the State Department from 1977 to 1980. It's interesting. So he served as assistant to President Johnson as a counselor under the President Jimmy Carter and under Secretary of State working for Cyrus Vance, who was also chairman of the board of the Rockefeller Foundation and vice chairman of the notorious Council of Foreign Relations. How fascinating is that? If you sold your rear end to these entities, you can go places. It's not who you know, what you know, it's who you blow. I will proceed. Interestingly, most recently, Julian Assange treated the links of this council to be major holdings along with Bilderberg and Trilateral Commission. Cyrus Vance was also a member of the Trilateral Commission, and Matthew Nimitz is also a member of the Council of Foreign Relations. Can we say bend over Bob's to the New World Order? Absolutely. Vance was a UN mediator like Nimitz and worked with UN peacekeeping missions in regions of Gulag operations in the 90s, including former Yugoslavia, which, as we all know, ended up destroyed and dismembered in the Caucasus. He was also involved in the Macedonian issue with Matthew Nimitz as his deputy serving as President Clinton's special envoy in 1994. Birds of a feather flock together. One of the most interesting connections that is not mentioned in the Mint Press article is that Matthew Nimitz sits on the board of directors of Rural Development Institute, renamed LandSea, an allegedly nonprofit organization that claims to secure legal land rights for the world's poorest families, but what it actually does rip them off by giving them microfinance loans they can't repay. LandSea's founder was Roy Prosterman, who helped in developing CIA's Operation Phoenix in Vietnam, a program that murdered and tortured thousands of Vietnamese civilians. The man who invested a large grant in LandSea's history was Pierre Omidyar, who in 2008 gave $4.3 million to LandSea operations in the Indian state of Andhra Pradesh, and by 2009 had granted $9 million. What happened then in Andhra Pradesh was unspeakable. More than 200 people committed suicide because they couldn't repay their loan, mostly women. And that's the globalist definition of helping the world's poorest families. We're going to use you, abuse you, and you can take your own life and no one gives a damn. But it's not only that, because only people like Pierre Emilior, and neutral Matthew Nemtis are actually serving the geopolitical interest of the national security state and intelligence agencies. It is no coincidence that one of the elected MPs in the current Indian government, Jairam Sinha, was Mediators' head advisor in India, where he helped the election of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Excuse me. In other words, they placed inside their guy, Modi globalized himself, to defend globalization in a speech in Davos recently. So India is in the geopolitical grasp of the U.S. and appears it will be used against Pakistan, which now turned towards China. Connect the dots, right? Not surprisingly, Congress leader Sandeep Dishki in India stated recently that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has become an agent of foreign companies, or intelligence agency. Back to Matthew Nemtis, who is also a board member, a former chair of the Center for Democracy and Reconciliation in Southeast Europe, or CDRSEE, an organization that tries to change Balkan history through a neoliberal view, cutting the edges with a project called Joint History, which is in the books, is using for Fyrom the term Macedonia, although Matthew Nemtis himself cannot use it officially because he is, of course, the mediator. Unbelievably, among the donors who fund CDRSEE, we find the State Department itself, along Open Society Foundation of George Soros, both from Fyrom and Bulgaria, and USAID, businessman Osman Kavala, who was a board member of Soros' Open Society in Turkey, until he was recently arrested by Turkish authorities for allegedly participating in the 2016 CIA-backed coup and plotting the Gezi Park protest. Erdogan even called him the Soros of Turkey, and National Endowment for Democracy, a CIA front organization without a democratic cover, which was described by a 1991 Washington Post article as the sugar daddy of overt operations. The same article we read, and an operative named Alan Weinstein said, a lot of what we do today was done covertly 25 years ago by the CIA. It is also interesting to the point that Vice Chairman of CDRCSEE, Greek businessman Nikos Ephimadis, said in the Greek newspaper, Catherine Minery, that he hosted Matthew Nemtis several times in his villa in Thessaloniki, where Ephimadis also had aspirations to become a mayor. And according, again, to Greek newspapers, CDRSEE was inaugurated in Thessaloniki by Nicholas Burns, U.S. Ambassador to Greece and NATO. Also worth mentioning is another conflict of interest for Dr. Matthew Nemtis. He is an advisory director of General Atlantic, which has invested in the Danish Saxo Bank, which has a Greek subsidiary. Having this position is a financial commitment that he has. So how neutral can he actually be between Greece and Fyrom? Again, until now, nobody seems able to answer that question. Nemtis is also a trustee of the Central European University, SEU, which is another CDR-SEE donor. The CEU was founded by, again, George Soros, who provided $880 million, making it one of the wealthiest in Europe. For that reason, the CEU is facing many problems in Hungary, where the current government of Viktor Orban is waging a campaign against Soros. On the board of trustees of CEU, along with Matthew Nemtis, sits Katie Martin, who is also a member of the Council of Foreign Relations, a journalist who worked for ABC News, and one of the individuals that strongly supports Soros' shady operations in Hungary. Interestingly, she has happened to be the wife of the late Richard Holbrooke, who was one of the main instigators of NATO's 1999 bombing of former Yugoslavia that killed thousands of people, not to mention his other vicious politics from Indonesia to Afghanistan. Holbrooke was serving at the time as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations and was involved in a Macedonian issue back in 1995 as U.S. Assistant Secretary of State. You see what's going on here, folks? My, oh my. But neutral, I like that quote, neutral Matthew Nemtis involvement in the agency's disguise as democratic institutions has no end. He is also trustee of American University of Central Asia, AUCA, which is located in Kyrgyzstan. AUCA was established in 1997 with funding from the U.S. government and again Open Society Institute of George Soros, or Jorge Soros. Among its donors are USAID, the American embassies in Kabul and Tajikistan, and the World Bank and NATO itself. In fact, NATO is running military retraining programs in this university. According to the Wikipedia page, among the people have personally visited AUCA are ex-CIA Director David Petraeus, which he was involved in many Middleburg meetings, Middleburg 10 to be exact, Hillary Clinton and John Kerry. Kyrgyzstan is on the course of no accidental place for directing this kind of influence as most Central Asian countries where Operation Gladio B took and is taking place. Excuse me. In 2005, President Askar Akayev of Kyrgyzstan was overthrown by U.S.-backed pro-democracy groups with the help of the CIA. And this is exactly what universities like AUCA are breeding. And people like UN's Matthew Nemtis supports having also a scholarship in his name of his university. Similarly, there is the U.S. Central Asia Education Foundation, which is active in Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan, and also one of the AUCA donors. Also, interestingly, is another connection we discovered. AUCA has established an official partnership with Bard College in New York. The president of Bard College is Leon Bostein, who is also chairman of the board of Soros's Central European University that we met earlier. The Mint Press article correctly points out that Bard College is also the home of the Levy Economics Institute, whose president was Dimitris B. Papadimitriou, who is currently Greek Minister of Economy and Development, while his wife, Rania Antonopoulos, also served as a senior economist at Levy Institute and is Greece's alternate minister for combating unemployment. Ironically, the two of them are the wealthiest pair of Greek ministers at the same time that the Greek people are struggling to get out from under IMF's claws and the economic austerity that has devastated them, with the employment rate up to 20.7%, the highest in the European Union. Connecting all of the above, it seems like an invisible giant spiderweb that spreads everywhere, with everything connected to each other, all leading to one purpose: the safeguarding of globalist US-NATO hegemony, using almost invisible, unsuspected individuals like Matthew Nemtis through democratic institutions like the UN that are calling upon human rights, but in the end, mediating for their own interests. As James Peck notes in his book entitled Ideal Illusions, How the U.S. Government Co-opts Human Rights, thousands of national security documents from the CIA, National Security Council, the Pentagon, think tanks, and U.S. government development agencies revealed how Washington set out after the Vietnam War to craft human rights into a new language of power designed to promote American foreign policy. They shed light on the way Washington has shaped this soaring idealism into a potent ideological weapon for ends little to do with human rights and everything to do with extending America's global reach. Like I said, my friends, when you got ass clowns, corrupt parasites trying to represent the United States, which they misrepresent an individual like myself, blowback could always occur, and good people get the short end of the stick. But these vultures don't give a damn about any of us, regardless what side you're on. Why is that? Because they assume you are just a bunch of cattle walking antimatter. Alright? That is how it goes. And using the terminologies, capitalism, socialism, and all that, it doesn't matter. This is called global tyranny at its finest. New World Order 101. These people need to be brought to justice through the judicial due process, wherever they be indicted to at. And of course, the American people, we gotta pay our taxes. Yeah, but it's okay to be extorted, right? Think about that really. Let that sink in. Okay? Just sit back, contemplate what I narrated. How far will this go? There's a claim that the American Empire may end at 2020. I'm like, how? We should just end it immediately, voluntarily. Bring our brothers and sisters who are serving our country home. It's over 800 bases in over 100 some odd countries, maybe 140. Bring them all home. Our bases, get all our important assets. You want to demolish it? Fine. Then we go to Guantánamo Bay. Demolish it. Get all your best stuff. Leave, but demolish it. They keep the land, but not the base. That's one thing that really boggles the mind, friends. More things change and more stays the same, right? And they want us to respect the flag and all this good stuff and respect our military. And we all say, God bless the New World Order, the police state. I defy that. I support a republic, not an empire, nor a corporation. We got some folks walking around here. I'm just on the sidewalk, just chilling, talking to you. And if you ever go in the Fort Lauderdale area, come to the Poorhouse, the coolest place in town, located at 110 Southwest 3rd Avenue, Nugent Avenue, right next to America's Backyard, Revolution Live. Nice. So cool. All right, I'm gonna chill and be right back. Okay, I'm back. There's another exclusive by newsbuzz.com. Came out yesterday. It's a reference to the State of the Union address of President Trump. It's written by Kurt Nemo. It's entitled, Trump signs executive order to keep Guantánamo Gulag open. Yay! Woo! God bless the war on terror is against you and me. Alright, so we'll just continue on here. During his State of the Union address, President Trump said he will keep Guantánamo Bay detention camp in Cuba open. He also promised to fill up the rafts with new abductees. On January 30th, Trump signed an executive order titled Presidential Executive Order on Protecting America Through Lawful Detention of Terrorists. He said, I'm also asking Congress to ensure that in the fight against ISIS and Al-Qaeda, we continue to have all necessary power to detain terrorists wherever we chase them down. Okay, hire some mercenaries, get some phonies, and take the money and run. The United States may transport additional detainees to U.S. naval stations in Guantánamo Bay when lawful and necessary to protect the nation. Trump gave his Secretary of State Defense, James Mattis, 90 days to come with a policy governing transfer of individuals in collaboration with the Secretary of State, Attorney General, Secretary of Homeland Security, Director of National Intelligence, and others. Yes, government, think for me. In 2016, while the campaign trail in Sparks, Nevada, Trump responded to President Obama's promise to close down the facility. That's right. You believe the hype. You believe the hype. This morning I watched President Obama talking about Gitmo, right? Guantánamo Bay, which by the way, we are keeping open. And we're gonna load it up with some bad dudes. Believe me, we're gonna load it up, he said. And everyone climax and masturbate. Yeah, Donald, we love you, baby. Just like you do Obama. Yeah, you guys are the Wonder Twins. I will continue on here. Many of those bad dudes may be American citizens accused by the government of engaging in terrorism. He said American suspects do not deserve protection afforded by the Sixth Amendment. Trump's gonna save our Constitution. Could I take a dump and wipe my ass on it, please? That's what he's saying. You know? The amendment states in all criminal prosecutions that the accused shall join a right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance for counsel for his defense. I know that they want to try them in a regular court system, and I don't like that at all. I don't like it at all. I would say they could be tried there. That would be fine. Hey, you fascist lord ass. That's right. To all you Trump worshippers out there. He hates the Bill of Rights, just like the ones you criticized the last president. It proves one thing. If you're going to defend them, then you're just another damn hypocrite, just like Michael Moore, Rosie O'Donnell, and George W. Bush, okay? Deep down inside, you know I'm right. It appears Trump approves of the mass human rights violations occurring at the camp, including torture. Have you ever tried waterboarding, Donald Boy? I like to see how tough you are. Soon after assuming office last January, he asked if torture works, and he responded, "The answer is yes, absolutely." Who you been blowing? Dick Cheney? Scientists have repeatedly debunked government claims that torture results in useful intelligence. Shane O'Mara, a neurobiologist at the Trinity College Institute of Neuroscience in Dublin, wrote for the journal Trends in Cognitive Science that the use of such techniques appear motivated by a focused psychology that is demonstrably incorrect. Solid scientific evidence on how repeated and extreme stress and pain affected memory and executive functions such as planning or forming intentions suggest these techniques are unlikely to do anything other than the opposite of that intended by corrosive or enhanced interrogation. At the time Trump made his remarks about torture, the Associated Press published a draft order reviewing interrogation techniques and facilities. The order also instructs the Pentagon to send abducted suspected terrorists to Guantánamo, which Obama pledged and failed to close down. Birds of a feather flock together, right? Trump's draft order signaled a return to the practices of the Bush administration. It was assumed Obama would shut down Guantánamo and discontinue the use of military tribunals there. In May 2009, however, he announced military tribunals would continue. Obama's decision was underscored by the trial of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, described as the principal architect of the 9/11 attacks in the 9/11 Commission report. What a bunch of liars, right? Absolutely. Prove me wrong, please. In 2009, then Attorney General Eric Holder announced that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Ramzi bin al-Shri, Walid bin Atash, Ali Abdul Aziz Ali, and Mustafa Ahmad al-Hawasi would be transferred to the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York for trial. The decision was met with protests by an advocacy group, Keep America Safe, and Andrew McCarthy, a former chief assistant U.S. attorney who prosecuted defendants in the 1993 World Trade Center attack, The chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Democrat Dianne Feinstein, wrote a letter to President Obama advising against proceeding with the trial. On April 4, 2011, Holder reversed his decision after Congress imposed restrictions on the Department of Justice prohibiting the transfer of detainees to the United States to stand trial. Following Trump's promise to keep the Gulag in Cuba operating, a Republican, James Foe, a senior member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, criticized Obama's promise to close down Guantánamo. President Obama tried to fulfill a campaign promise by signing an executive order to close Guantánamo Bay within 1 year. What's more, he wanted to transfer the detainees to prison in the United States, placing terrorists less than 2 miles from schools, churches, and neighborhoods, he wrote for Fox News. In Hope, he was responsible for language in the National Defense Authorization Act preventing closure of Guantánamo and transfer detainees to the United States. But Bush political appointees at the Office of Legal Counsel at the Department of Justice considered Guantánamo a deal candidate for the establishment of what amounted to a gulag, a system of Soviet-era prison camps where political prisoners were held. Guantánamo was considered to be outside the reach of the U.S. legal jurisdiction. The Bush administration insisted detainees held there were not covered by protections afforded by the Geneva Conventions, in particular Common Article 3. In Hammad versus Rumsfeld, the Supreme Court ruled detainees are entitled to minimal protections listed in the article. Obama ordered a Pentagon review of conditions at Guantánamo Bay in 2009. It concluded detainees were being treated in accordance with the standards put forth by the conventions. The Pentagon said conditions at the camp were better than those at maximum security prisons on the U.S. mainland. Admiral Patrick Walsh, then Vice Chief of Naval Operations who carried out the inquiry, said the practice of strapping detainees to a chair and force feeding them with a tube. Got a truck coming by. Hold on here. All right, as I continue here. It says here, Admiral Patrick Walsh, then Vice Chief of Naval Operations who carried out the inquiry, said the practice of strapping detainees to a chair and force feeding them with the tube inserted in the nose was an effort to follow the convention requirements to preserve life. It's like bizarro world, right? A lawyer at the Center for Constitutional Rights, Guantánamo Gutierrez, who represented the detainees, said she was concerned on the report would be a whitewash. Damn right, this is government. In 2009, 7 years after the camp was established, Susan J. Crawford, appointed by Bush to review DoD practices used at Guantánamo and oversee military tribunals, admitted torture was used there. We tortured Mohammed El-Qartani, she said during an interview. His treatment met the legal definition of torture, and that's why I did not refer the case for prosecution. The government said Qartani was involved in the September 11 plot. The Saudi, however, recanted a confession he gave, saying he feared being tortured while at Guantánamo. His 2008 Guantánamo file was leaked to the press in 2011. It states that he did not attend a secret Al-Qaeda meeting held in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia in 2000, where the attacks were allegedly discussed along with the plot to bomb the USS Cole. The CIA knew about the meeting well in advance and instructed the Malaysian Secret Service to monitor the summit. Qartani remains a detainee at Guantánamo. Prior to the State of the Union, Trump indicated he will reinstitute CIA's black sites in foreign countries. He ordered a high-level review into whether to reinitiate a program of interrogation of high-value alien terrorists to be operated outside the United States, and whether the CIA will operate the facilities, according to a copy of the draft published by the Washington Post. The CIA went to extraordinary lengths to keep the sites hidden from the American people. It was reported not even President Bush knew about the aspects of the program. He was not given a full briefing until 2006. According to a July 2003 CIA email, the White House was extremely concerned. Secretary of State Colin Powell would blow his stack if we were to be briefed on what's been going on. The CIA engaged in torture, including rectal feeding of detainees at a site in Afghanistan known as Cobalt. Detainees were kept isolated in total darkness in cells with a bucket for human waste. How nice, right? Gul Rahman and Afghani captured during a joint operation by U.S. agents and Pakistani security forces against Hizb-ut-Tahrir Islami Gulbuddin, a political party financed by Pakistani's inner services intelligence, died during interrogation. More than 7 years later, his capture was kept secret. Rahman was chained half naked to a wall in a cell where the temperature was near freezing. He was found dead after 48 hours of sleep deprivation, auditory overload, total darkness, isolation, a cold shower, and rough treatment. The U.S. government didn't inform of his family of his death. How nice! I like to have that. I will sell my ass to sell my freedom for security because I'm an Uncle Tom. All right, I'll continue on here. The Senate Intelligence Committee report on enhanced interrogation by the CIA released in 2014 is a horror story of abuse and cruelty. In addition to waterboarding and sleep deprivation, the reports reveal the CIA placed detainees in ice baths, threatened them with guns and power drills, beat them, threatened to kill their families, used rectal hydration, and other sadistic techniques. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was waterboarded 183 times over 15 sessions. Abu Zubaydah, held at Guantánamo under authority of authorization for use of military forces against terrorists, became completely unresponsive during a torture session, with bubbles rising through his open, full mouth. At Abu Ghraib in Iraq, the CIA engaged in the rape of boys, according to Seymour Hersh. Iraqi women were passing messages out saying, "Please come and kill me," because of what's happened. And basically what happened is those women who were arrested with young boys, children in cases, yet that had been recorded, the boys were sodomized with the cameras rolling, and the worst all above them all is the soundtrack of the boys shrieking. Bunch of pedophiliac scumbags, I would say, right? But that's okay. If you're able to worry about the Russian collusion, you should be more focusing on this. To all you anti-Trump, those Trump haters out there too, be focusing on that. That's why I tell you folks, stop being a conformed parrot. This is a sort of behavior illegal under international law and amounting to crimes against humanity. Donald Trump wants the CIA and the Pentagon to engage in to protect America. Trump is taking America back to the worst days of the Bush administration. In fact, it is possible he will outdo Bush in his coterie of neocons. Trump has yet to surpass the death toll accumulated by Bush in Iraq, more than 1 million dead, possibly 1.5 million, but he may yet achieve that in a hurry if he initiates a war with North Korea, Russia, or China, and possibly all three. Stand down, Mr. Trump. Stand down. So all you folks out there that want to worship the man, kiss his ass, think he's the best thing since sliced bread, if you trust him in the government, then you're a damn fool. That's not our culture or heritage. We're supposed to never, ever trust the government. More imperialism at its finest. The war on terror is a conflagration towards us and our brothers and sisters around the world. You think the terrorists are the problem? You should focus on our criminal elements within our own nation. But no. People still believe they attacked us on 9/11 because of our freedoms. Give me a break. If you buy that story, sorry. You're in bizarro world. I'm not saying I'm better than you. This is completely unacceptable. Condemn it with a passion. I want to see Donald Trump and any of his lackeys be waterboarded, tortured, and his family get the same treatment, which I'm not condoning it, but how would he react if someone he loves get that? That's one of the things you gotta think deeply This is why I had to say I was happy I was laughing so hard at the presidential debates. And I admit that, yeah, Trump won because I didn't like Hillary. However, I told everyone, still got to remain vigilant. Period. That is our obligation. And hopefully, people out there will wake up and examine the bigger picture. Now I'll be back. All right, I got one more here, and actually it came from Blacklisted News originally. Check out Doug Owen's site, blacklistednews.com. And it came from this link to a site called FromTheTrenchesWorldReport.com. And this one's entitled, 70,000 New York permit holders are now felons for failing for registered handguns. It is by Swifty Lomax. Actually, Guns America by S.H. Blaine Barry. Okay, on Thursday of this week, more than 70,000 New York pistol permit holders woke up as felons, lawbreakers. What was their crime? They didn't register their handguns with the state. Now, why on God's green earth they would have to do that? I like when he crossed out Emperor. Governor Andrew Cuomo rammed through the New York Security, Ammunition, and Firearms Enforcement Act in 2013. This insidious law requires pistol permit holders to register their handgun and recertify their licenses every 5 years. Failure to do so is a Class E felony, so it's a victimless crime law. Ain't that great? The objective was clear: build a massive central database of every handgun owner in New York, not only when they are and where they are and where they live, but what handguns they have in their possession. Well, would the government want to know which citizens are armed? I'll leave you to answer that. Of course. They know better. You guys are stupid. We're the idiots. We'll have, for the first time, statewide gun database that will allow local officials to check periodically. Como said while pitching the SAFE Act, adding, you don't want criminals and people who are mentally ill to have guns, right? They're gonna be, I'm gonna register my gun, yeah! I'm a criminal, I'm gonna register my stuff. He probably has I have a feeling Andrew Cuomo may have a Benito Mussolini sex bot in his closet, right? There's a video on that. Troops answer questions on pistol permit recertification. And I'll continue on here. You can read, you can see it yourself. Right, because violent criminals and murderous madmen register their firearms, and to catch their evildoers, all police are going to have to do is consult this handy dandy database, Crime Finance Finest, including your right to privacy. Right? Yeah. Who cares about your natural born rights in the Empire State? For over 370,000 New Yorkers, all of whom were issued a permit before a rollout of the SAFE Act, the deadline to recertify was January 31st, 2018. This past Wednesday, estimates suggest that only 300,000 followed through the mandate, meaning approximately 70,000 or more did not. To calm the nerves of worried gun owners, state police have said they will not prosecute those who unknowingly missed the deadline. The state police are not going to penalize those people who fail to recertify unknowingly by the deadline, said Bill Duffy, Director of Public Information for New York State Police. How nice is that, right? Bo. What are we going to do is continue to accept recertifications past deadline, he added. We want to make sure everyone is aware and has the opportunity to recertify so we can have the best records possible. Okay, so the state police aren't going to punish people for unknowingly missing the deadline, at least for now. But what about the country's judges, county judges, and officers in charge of issuing permits? Don't forget, New York is a may-issue state. Permits are issued at the discretion of county judges, not state police. How will these county officials respond to those who missed the deadline? Will they start pulling permits? It's in the law, but I don't want to speculate how they're going to move forward on it, Duffy said. It will be up to each office to make that decision. Let's unpack that. Duffy has no idea how your local county official is going to respond. That judge may revoke your permit. He may not. Glad we cleared that up. So you can flip a coin, heads or tails. To state the obvious, this is a disaster. The whole thing, and I didn't even say how much is costing taxpayers. Ready for this? $28 million according to NPR. Wow. Talk about a giant waste of money. Hopefully you clowns up there that support this program, you better take a look what happened in Canada's National Registration Form database. It crashed so many times they had to scrap it. My favorite aspects of this whole snafu is the answer on the QA page of safeactnewyork.gov. The question reads, will permit holders' guns be confiscated if they can't prove they recertified? The answer, to be clear, the state police will not be confiscating weapons for those permit holders who fail to recertify by January 31st. This provision was never intended to be a gotcha for pistol permit holders. It was included in the law that was passed by the legislature and signed by the governor in order to update accuracy of both state and local records. To that end, state police will continue to accept recertifications throughout 2018, and we continue to update the database. What a lie! The whole system is a gotcha scheme. As Cuomo said, it's for police to check periodically. Big Brother at its finest, so you can all sing 1984 with their arms crossed. What are they checking for if not confiscated guns from those who shouldn't have them? Watch what happens down the road 2 or 3 years from now. State police will be checking the list regularly for people with expired licenses. Why? Because they're felons under the law. They are guilty of criminal possession of a firearm. Consequently, their guns will have to be seized. And there's like a close 17-minute video from that chump governor Andrew Bendover Bob and Cuomo, whose favorite sexual mentor is Benito Mussolini. Yeah, I like to say that. I hope you folks out there get offended. I don't give a damn. Well, here's the thing, my friends. It's totally illegal under their state constitution. Section 1, Article 1, Section 1, under Bill of Rights. Rights, privileges, and franchise secured. Power of legislation to dispense with primary elections in certain cases. Okay. It says here, no member of the state shall be disenfranchised or be deprived of any rights or privileges secured to any citizen thereof, unless by the law of the land or the judgment of his or her peers, except the legislation may provide that there be no such primary election held to the nominated candidates of public office to elect persons to party positions or any political parties, any unit representation from the state, which candidates or persons are nominated or elected. There is no contest. Nominations, elections prescribed by general law. So, no member of the state secure any citizens thereof, unless by the law of the land. Interesting there, because technically it violates Article 1, Section 1. Does supersede the permit thing. Pretty sketchy, I would say, right? Protection of enumerated rights is Section 6. And this is, of course, no person shall be put in jeopardy. Okay, right down here, it'll be the second paragraph of Section 6. Power grand jurors to inquire into willful misconduct in office of public officers and to find indictments or the direct fill of information in connection with such inquiries should never be suspended or impaired by law. Second sentence of that. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So right there, Article 1, Section 6, second paragraph, last sentence. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So right there, my friends, the registration, permit registration in the state of New York is illegal, unconstitutional, otherwise null and void. Self-explanatory. But remember, those asswipes, ingrates, tyrants don't read. They don't even think you're that damn stupid. So remember that, my friends. You gotta be smarter than those attorneys with their pretentious agenda. And that's why now you have that information. Jury nullification. No victim, no crime. You could tell them to stick it. And that thing could be scrapped. More people notify it, the better. And every sheriff in that county could say no to it. It could be scrapped. Get them where it hurts. And to be very frank, that is it. So I'm going to add that to my footnotes. That's it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you're going to send me something that's interesting I want to check out, whatever you do, please address your correspondence with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Minds.com, FutureNet.club, Patreon.com/LocalLuck3rd. If you're going to be a patron, I got a delivery truck behind me. That's okay. I'm not in front of a business district anyway. You don't mind me speaking. Or hit Gab at gab.ai. In addition, you can email me at localluck3@gmail.com, or to encrypted ones, lookingluck3@protonmail.com. All right, my friends. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the demoniac resistance is something for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.